Psst, check this out.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Backchannel. In today's episode, I want to comment a little bit on the types of questions that I've been getting about how the market has changed, how fundraising has changed, what expectations are like from institutional investors nowadays, and what the evolution of the VC and fundraising market has been over the last 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, 6 months. And I think it's a really important thing to talk through because it impacts the way founders build initially, when founders think about raising capital, and also some of the skills that every builder needs to start honing today. So, where should I start? I will first talk about this transition into COVID and some of the things that I saw happen. Well, one of the things was that we went to a remote world. Okay. We went to a world where no one was allowed to go outside of their house, let alone into a crowded office, which put everyone into the situation of working remotely, learning how to work remotely, being comfortable working remotely, and also starting to build the skills of managing a remote workforce. So that's one input that I think has had a big impact on where we are today. Now, I'm not even going to talk about the return to office or what it means to be hybrid or fully remote versus fully in person. Not even something that is going to go into this bit of commentary. I just want to give you that initial starting point. That's one. And the second thing has been the explosion of AI more as a tool for productivity than anything else. So what do those two things combined mean for the current state of fundraising and expectations from the VC world? Well, I believe if you think about those things combined with the whiplash from the crazy ZIRP era of investors jumping ahead of the line, investing in random ideas without any traction, to pendulum swinging backwards to being very scared about investing. Well, that combined with now actual access to crazy productivity tools with AI, ChatGPT, AI-based coding, etc., and the comfort level of working remotely and accessing talent all over the world where things might be 30% less, 50% less, 80% less when it comes to talent. All those things combined has meant the earliest stages of investors now expect much more to be done before they're willing to take a bet. Now, of course, there are always outliers. There's still hot deals. There are still hot teams where investors will take a risk and kind of jump the line so that they can be part of an amazing deal. But for the vast majority of first-time founders and other people who are just trying to get out there, the expectation of pre-seed investors, the first institutional round, is so much higher because they believe that so much more can be done with so much less capital. So before, I always thought of pre-seed rounds as, well, if you were able to validate that the problem exists, then you're ready to raise a pre-seed round. Back in the day, validating the problem exists could have been, I don't know, I used to work in the industry, so I'm going to tell you that the problem existed. If you wanted to go a little bit further, maybe I was reaching out to some potential customers in interviews. Maybe I had a landing page that people were jumping into. I had a really beautifully designed deck that told the story of the problem. All those things counted for validating a problem existed. All right, so the problem with fundraising is that it just seems so simple, right? Fundraising is asking people for money. That's the first big problem. The second big problem is that most of the people that are going out to try to fundraise have been trained their whole lives this idea of fake it till you make it. So those two things combined create one of the biggest challenges that I see with startup founders today, which is why I created Adamant Fundraising. It turns out faking it till you make it when it comes to fundraising is a recipe for wasting a ton of time and getting to suboptimal outcomes or just completely failing. And yes, there's a ton of content online that you can find that will give you little bits of what to do. But if you're looking for a way to bring all the best knowledge from somebody that you trust into one place and surround that with a supportive community, live events that will give you great feedback, and other support structures to make sure that you are doing exactly what you need to do to fundraise the right way, well, then I want you to come check out Adamant Fundraising. Adamant Fundraising is our online program and community that has helped hundreds of founders get through the process successfully, has been a part of raising over $400 million, and it's something that we're extremely proud of. So if this sounds like something that could help you out, check out adamantfundraising.com and reach out online, ask any questions. We'd love to consider having you. All right, back to the show. Today, I feel like that's not the case in most industries or for most VCs. Now validating the problem is like, get a product out there and sell it. Like, you got to show us at least one person or a couple people have been able to buy. You can't give me the excuse anymore that, oh my God, I need to raise money to build the product in order to sell it to people. Because especially if it's a software-based product, you should be able to figure that out. You should be able to be gritty enough and resourceful enough to learn how to do a little bit of AI-based coding, to maybe take some of your savings and hire someone overseas to help build you initial products so that you can get out there and sell. And by the way, there are all these tools, AI-driven tools that can help you sell as well. So people have very little excuse, at least in the eyes of the venture capitalists, to come to them without some bit of traction, some more tangible evidence that you validated the problem. Now, I will say that this perspective on what the earliest stage founders need to have before they raise capital is somewhat unfair because I feel like it's being applied to all industries. So I feel like this lack of risk capital is bleeding from pure software over to things like CPG and sort of hardware and physical goods that do need initial capital to get out there. Also deeper tech stuff and biotech stuff, which need early stage capital to invest in science. I think they are being impacted by this pullback and this feeling like, oh, I only want to invest in stuff that has much more traction. Hopefully that corrects. I do wish there was more risk capital out there and people start funding ideas and funding great people to just see where it goes. I think that's been the driver of so much innovation. But for now, it's February 2025. That's what I'm seeing in the market today. That's the expectations that I think you all need to be working within. And to be honest, learning those AI skills, learning those AI building skills, not pushing your head into the sand and thinking that Google is going to be the only tool that you need to know how to do and that you can just be a manager and not learn how to build at the earliest stages. I think that's going to be a big mistake if you want to keep operating that way. So take this as encouragement to learn a little bit more about what you can do using AI tools, learning about what it takes to manage teams abroad, or at least individuals, to help you get to the next stage and actually create progress without investor capital. All right. I hope this walkthrough of where I believe the markets are will help you in your plan to potentially raise capital, but certainly build the first versions of your product and be in a better position where you could raise capital, or maybe you don't have to. All right. So I will see you on another episode of the Backchannel. Until then, peace.